We'll start off by going over the syllabus. Hopefully all of you can read it. If not, you should have your own copy of the syllabus, even though as I look around the room, it does not appear that many of you do. But anyway, the syllabus is located on iCollege. About calling me, you're welcome to, but let me warn you, maybe I'm old-fashioned. I keep my cell phone off most of the time, or I'm not next to it, so it's kind of like right now, my cell phone is off. And the reason for that is I can't tell you students that you should not have cell phones in class and then have mine go off right in the middle of the class like it has done on a couple of occasions, and it's somewhat embarrassing. Mine stays off most of the time. I don't have it with me a lot of the time, so I'm difficult to reach my cell phone. But you're welcome to call me at home. I'm there a lot except on Mondays and Wednesdays. And the best way to get in contact might be to call my wife's cell. She keeps hers with her almost all the time. And, but anyway, you can call her. She'll let me know that you called. But you know, call in this order: home first, cell second, wife's cell third. All right. Again, this is the name of our department chair, the secretary's name. They requested that I not give out their phone numbers. So for their request, they say that they have about 400 history students, maybe more than that, and they just can't be swamped. In fact, when I first started here, I was told, don't give out your home's phone number, they'll call you at 3 a.m. But then somebody else said, oh, do give out the home number, it gives them more access to you. So I've been giving out the home number for about 6 years, and so far nobody has called me at 3 o'clock in the morning. So thank you, hopefully that won't happen. All right, anyway, leaving that, then again, the textbook, Weicker and Spielbergale. I had some of you want to copy the ISBN or photograph the book. That's okay if you want to. It's right here. I'll let you photograph it, the ISBN. A lot of this is self-explanatory. Okay, here's the, and maybe you can see them behind already. I have not yet talked about Egypt, the Indo-Europeans or the Hittites. But anyway, there it is. Today is supposed to be the Phoenicians in Israel. Again, I'm behind already. Now, used to be every semester I'd have someone come in and say, I didn't know the test was today. Well, if you've been to class, you'll know when the test is. No, the test is not today. But as called out in the syllabus, the test is Monday, September 8th. And it will be on chapters 1, 2, and 3. All right. Otherwise, I mean, I had a student say, I say, well, when is the paper due? Okay, that's located right here. The papers are due November 10th. Right, there it is, folks. Okay, then after that point, I take off 5 points and then take off 10 points after November 17th. And I should take 20 points off after November 30th, but I don't. Final exam, same time as the class time, 10 o'clock on December 8th. I think that occurs on Monday. All right. Oh yes, something that comes up every semester, and this time I put it in big bold caps. Look, this cannot be done. I cannot change the final exam time. All right, I'll tell you something. There was an exception made last spring. 2 of my players were on the tennis team, and the tennis team did really well, and they had their big tennis match out in Texas at the same time as my final exam. I discussed with Dr. Bennigan upstairs and then gave them the final exam before they went on the trip. Again, Dr. Bennigan approved. Technically, we're not supposed to give final, and they should not schedule tennis matches that would conflict or any other thing. Again, granted, it's not tennis season this fall, but it is basketball season. Hopefully, it will not conflict with any of you, if any of you happen to be on the basketball team or anything like that. I don't know, but I don't see any heads nodding. All right. Test, approximately 30 questions. I might give an essay question I have before, just simply to help me get to know you better. All right, now missed test. Here's my policy, and each teacher has a policy. This department discourages test makeups. If you have a high average, you can miss one test without having to make it up. Now that does not count for the final exam. Everyone must take the final exam, but missed test can be made up during the day of the final. The reason for that is, folk, I live in Powder Springs, and I don't like to make a special trip out here. In fact, I rarely, ever, if ever, do. So, anyway, try to make it for the day of the test, but I know sometimes you just simply can't. Missed test, taken with a final exam. Now, you may wonder why they require the final exam. There was a time when I just count the final exam like another test. Here was a problem I ran into. The final exam, the A students, the ones who already had an A sewed up, would stay home. And one time I actually wound up putting a 40-point curve because only the mediocre students showed up for the final. I had one case though where a young girl who was an A student, her grandmother died, she had to be in New York. I said, well, hey, just take the final exam. She came and took the final exam and made 25 points better than everybody else. But what I'm getting at is I wound up giving like 17 A's for 23 students in the class, and I said, no, that doesn't look good on me. If they take the final exam and with a big high curve, almost everybody who took it would make an A. So I said, if you make an A on the final exam, it will be because you competed against all your classmates who, some of whom are A students. So, all right, enough of that. Again, if you know you're not going to be able to make the final exam on December 8th, please drop the course. All right, so much for that. Grading formula. I want to show you something. Supposing you had a 100 test average. That would count twice. I put that down twice. Suppose you made 100 on the final exam, and then you did not turn in a paper. $300. Bumps down to a C, folk. Now, do every one of you know what I just did? I mean, I had to talk to a math teacher here one time who said any student who can't compute his average, he kicks out. But your test scores count double, final exam once, the paper once. That's the formula, and I put it on a computer. Run every one of you through a formula. Failure to turn in a paper will knock everyone's grade down by 2 letters. Again, I'll use that paper to give, to give some of you who have trouble with multiple choice tests, and I understand it. It's a chance to keep your average high. Turning in a paper early, getting an extra 6 points. I mean, here, I'll show you. Say you have a 75 test average. Your final exam is not much better, but you've got 106 points on a paper. Uh, 4 into 3, 26. Rounds up to an 82. You came up with a respectable grade, a B grade, in spite of the fact you could not do very well on any of my tests. All right. Again, I want to encourage you to think of turning the paper in one time. I have 70 students in my 2 classes, and it takes me hours to read over your papers. All right. Having said that, borderline grades. You notice I say if you average, and this happens every semester, and it's a pain. Someone comes up with an 89 average. Oh man, I hate that when it happens. 79. You notice I don't say 59. I'll admit, folks, I have fudged up averages of 58 and 59 to a D. But other than that, you have to earn your grade. I mean, 2/3 of my pupils wind up with A's and B's. So be sure that your average is up there in order for me to give you your grade. All right. I mean, I've had students, I just needed a point. Please, now let me tell you something. Don't tell me I have to have an A in this class to keep my whole scholarship. If you really have to have an A in this class, then by all means earn it. I mean, it's a tough issue. I mean, my oldest daughter lost her whole scholarship temporarily for a couple of semesters because of the shindig that she got herself into academically. That was all her own doing. I mean, I'm not taking up for her. She wound up graduating with a 3.3 average, but she lost her whole scholarship, and she's still paying for that to this day. Again, be sure, if you really have to have a B average, I mean, well, you do have to, if you really have to have an A in this course, earn it. All right. And, oh yes. Now, oh yeah, this is a new, I mean, well, actually it gets stronger later about cell phones and pagers. Quote, you are not allowed to have cell phones turned on at all during test time. Now, my second daughter said that she had a teacher go in and say, hand me your cell phone, and he'd collect all cell phone phones and said, you can pick them up as you leave the room. I don't do that. I'm afraid that two of you might get yours mixed up or something like that, but cell phones on your desktop during exam time are a no-no. Now, something else. Please do not ask to leave the room during a test. Looks to me like most of you are young men and young women, young enough to be my grandchildren, I guess. Hopefully you'll know enough to have all your bathroom going done before the test, before you start the test. Once you get up to leave, I'm going to have to ask you to turn in your test book and your scan on. Now, hopefully, all of you understand this. For the reason for this, I can't have you going outside, looking up an answer, coming back in. You know. So, I mean, all your other teachers are supposed to go by this rule. At least they're supposed to. All right. So much for that. Are there any questions? Okay, let's see. Anything else I need to touch on? It's pretty much self-explanatory. The format, again, the sample papers are on iCollege. Here I have 1,000 words, not counting the title page and bibliography.